So okay, guys. So this stuff is not that bad as far as the difficulty level. It's more or less the way they write it out. It looks confusing. Okay, so you've got function g of n equals 3n minus 5, and h of n equals 3n plus 2. Then it says it wants you to find. It wants you to find 5gn plus 3hn. Now, so guys, a couple things. Let me just put this over here so you can write it. Okay, so notice we've got a g of n and an h of n. Okay, so let's talk about a couple things about these functions. Okay, the letter out front, that is the name. That is the name of your function. Okay, so if I say function g, that's its name. Okay, so guys, a lot of this is just notations. Okay, the reason why they come up with different letters for the names of functions, if you have more than one function on the graph, you can identify them. Because if you just said y equals a function, then if both of them was equal to y, you really wouldn't know which one they were talking about. So, so for instance, this guy right here, his name is G, his name is H. Okay, function H. All right, now, um, the letter that's in the parentheses, that's your input value. Okay, that's what's being inputted. That's also known as your um, independent variable. And guys, in everyday terms, it is the variable being used. So g of n, the variable being used is n. If it's g of x, you'd be using the x value. Okay. Now remember, it can be an input value. So if you see something, like for instance here, um, if you see a number here, you'd put that number in there. Okay. But until we'll get a couple examples on our belt, and then it'll start making more sense. All right. So now, what it wants you to do, it says it wants you to find 5 times g of n, and he wants you to input. It wants you to put input in, okay, plus 3 times h of n. So guys, what it's wanting you to do is it wants you to complete an operation on these two functions. That's where you get operations of functions. You're multiplying them and adding them together. Okay. Now, guys, if you notice, it wants you to input in, but what's already in our functions to begin with? What letter's in there? N. So, guys, if it says input the letter N and the N's already there, it's already done for you, so you don't have to do it. Okay. Now, if there was a variable, another variable here, or another number, you'd input that in for the N. Okay. Now, so this is what that would look like. All right, 5 times g of n. So what it would be is 5 times. Now, guys, how I got the 3n minus 5? G of n is 3n minus 5. That's where this came from. Okay. Because it says 5 times g of n plus, it says it wants you to add 3 times h of n. Well, here's h of n, so it's going to be 3 times. Okay. All right, so now, guys, it's just order of operations. All right, so you're going to distribute. And distribute here. Okay. So all I did there is distribute. Now, last but not least, all I got to do is clean up and combine my like terms and clean it up some. Okay. So now, what that'll look like, what that's going to look like is add these two together. Hello. Hey, I do. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Hey, you being dismissed. You ain't got to stop by the office, man. You just go on out. All right. So 15N plus 9N is 24N, and then negative 25 plus 6 is negative 19. Now, guys, notice I wrote the notation out there, the operation of the function out in front. You don't have to do that. I just did it because that's the way it's supposed to be done. But on this sheet, you don't have to do that. Okay, that's a lot of writing. This will be online, Gus, when you get home. All right, that wasn't too bad, right? You just basically just do exactly. The main thing is, guys, just remember this is the name of the function, the g. That's the variable, the input variable, the variable being used. Sometimes, guys, they will have values in here that you have to plug in. Okay. Let's do one. Let's do one like number 3. All right. So it says function h of a equals a squared minus 5 plus a. And the function g of a equals a minus 2. Now, guys, you got to be real careful here because the reason why it says find h of a minus g of a. The main thing you got to watch out for is that minus sign right there. Okay, and I'll show you what you do to make sure you do it correctly. Okay. All right. So what we got to do is take these and subtract them. So it's going to be a squared minus 5 plus a, because h of a is in the operation first. Now, when you subtract something, guys, like when you're subtracting polynomials in Math 1, put the minus sign out there. Put the one that's being subtracted, put it in parentheses. Guys, this is your number one mistake on a lot of things. People forget if you're minusing an expression, you have to put it in parentheses and distribute the negative. So what that would look like is this: a squared minus 5 plus a. Now, if I'm going to say that's a negative 1, I'm going to distribute that in. That's going to be negative a plus 2. Does everybody understand how it went from here to here? I just distributed a negative. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Bye. Damn. All right. Now, guys, the only I got these two like terms, 1a and negative 1a. Well, a minus a is just 0, so those just cancel out, right? Okay. So what I'm left with is a squared. Well, negative 5 plus 2 is -3. There you go. So, guys, why don't you try number 5? Now, be careful because it is a minus sign. I'm going to do my attendance real quick and see what you can do with number 5. Whoa. Yeah, that was pretty close. All right, guys. So let's look at this one. All right, so it's g of n minus h of n. So it's going to be -3n cubed minus 4 minus h of n, which is n plus 2. Okay. Now the main thing is, guys, remember to if you minus it, distribute that negative. Okay. So if I distribute that negative, that just changes your signs. Okay. So guys, all you need to do here is to combine your like terms. That's your answer. It's not too bad, right? We will get into some. I'm gonna try one like number. Let's try one like number 10. The only problem with number 10 is you're going to be dealing with fractions. So that being said, I know a lot of you guys don't like to deal with fractions. All right. All right, so number 10. I'll write it down and I'll put it up on the screen. So number 10. If you can do number 10, then you pretty much got, I mean, this is probably the most in-depth one on here. Okay. Now, guys, notice we have function g of x and function f of x. Okay. Now, notice what the rule says. The operation says it wants us to add them together, and then it wants us to substitute t over 3 in for x. Everywhere you see an x, you're going to input this value into it. Okay. So everywhere I see an x, I'm going to put that t of 3 there. Okay. Now, so just to let's go ahead and do this first. Let's go ahead and add it together first because that'll be less fraction work. Well, right here I do have two like terms. Okay, so I'm going to add those next. So 3x cubed minus 5x squared plus 3x plus 3. Okay. Now, so what we're going to do now, guys, since we got it added together and cleaned up, what we're going to do is we're going to substitute that in and then evaluate. Okay, so that's going to be, and everywhere you see an X, you're going to put that in. I didn't put the T at 3 there. Okay, so guys, everywhere I saw an X, I put a T over 3. Okay. Now, guys, let me go ahead and show you when you take a fraction to when you raise a fraction to a power. This is the rule. Okay. Say you have all right, so this is the rule. If you have a fraction, and you raise it to a power of y, what you do is this. That's the rule, okay? All right. You just multiply the exponents pretty much, okay? Unless you have a number, okay? Now, so guys, if I have t to the first power, that's going to be t cubed. Now, 3 cubed, guys, is the same as 3 times 3 times 3. That's 27, okay? And then I have t cubed, t over 3 squared. That's t squared over 9. Okay. Okay. Now, guys, what we need to do is we need to distribute this. Now, guys, that's the same as 3 over 1, 5 over 1. That's the same as we're going to multiply them, right? If that's a 3, that means it's 3 over 1. 3 and 3 over 1 same thing. So what that's going to be is this. 3t cubed over 27 minus 5t squared over 9 plus 3t over 3 plus 3. All right, now, here's the problem with this. Guys, we can't leave it this way. We've got to get them all. We need to get it to one denominator. So, guys, in order to add or subtract fractions, what do you have to do to the denominator? What does it have to be? It has to be the same, right? Good. All right, now, so guys, the common denominator here, guys, between all these three numbers is going to be 27. Does everybody understand that? Okay, now, so if you think about it, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply. Now, guys, you can't multiply the bottom and not multiply the top. You're going to multiply top and bottom by a number that makes 9 27. Does that make sense? So that's going to be, does everybody understand 3 times 9 is 27, right? All right, now, to make 3 27, what do I have to multiply it by? 9. So you got to do 9 over 9. Okay, you're going to multiply those. And to make 3 over 1, that's the same as 3 over 1, right? Guys, to make 1 27, I got to multiply by 27, right? So I got to multiply 27 over 27. Okay, so guys, I found out my common denominator is 27. Okay, so I got to make sure I got to I had to multiply top and bottom by whatever makes the bottom 27, which is my common denominator. All right, so now what that's going to be is this. Okay, so after I multiply it, that's what I get. Okay. Now, guys, notice since all these are the same denominator, okay? Now, these are all the same denominator. I can write them as one single fraction. So what that will look like is this. You'll have a single denominator on the bottom, and then you'll put your terms up here. Because you can't combine those because they're not like terms. That would be your final answer. That way, if you can do that one, if you didn't have any trouble doing that, then you're, I mean, that's probably the toughest one on here. Okay. All right, guys. So 10 and 12 are about the same. Y'all want to try number 12? The only thing you got to remember, you got to distribute your negative. That's the main thing. Try number 12, and then we'll come back together here in a minute. Guys, what I don't want to see. All right, guys, I'm gonna show you. See if you got this answer. That's your answer right there. Okay, the box. All right, that is your answer in the box. Anybody get see anything close to that? We'll do some more. All right, so guys, what I want to do. Now, so looking at what we did here. Okay, so looking at what we did here, the first thing was the rule says you're going to take function h and subtract g from it. Okay, and then you're going to put z divided by 4 in as an input. Okay, so what I always do first, guys, before I put anything in, go ahead and do the operation on my functions, and then that way when I get it, when I clean it up as far as I can, then I put it in. Okay, so now this is h, this is g, so h minus g. Okay. All right, now what that does, guys, that negative when you minus that, that's just going to change the sign of your of g. Okay. Now the only like terms you have are the 3n and the negative and minus 2n. So that becomes positive 1n. So it's n squared plus n minus 3. Okay. All right, now that's as clean as I can get it. I cannot go any. I cannot break it down or simplify anymore. So I put z to the fourth in for my variable. Z to the fourth, z to the fourth, and then I don't have a variable here. Now, after I squared it, that's z squared over 16. Okay, and then so all right, so that was z squared over 16. Now this was z over 4. And guys, to make this have a common denominator, I multiplied. Does everybody understand? I multiplied that by 4 to make that. And the reason I know it's 4 because my common denominator is going to be 16, right? It's going to be 16. So I know to make 4 16, I got to multiply by 4. The reason I have to multiply top and bottom because you have to keep the equation. You have to make sure the equation stays has its value. Okay. Now, so that becomes 4z over 16. Now, to make this 16, I had to multiply this by 16 over 16. Okay. So you just multiply by what it takes to get your common denominator, bottom to top. Well, that becomes 48 over 16. Okay. All right. And then what I did here was I put them all together and had it over 16. Now, guys, I don't really see them on the EOC give you something as difficult as that. They probably give you something that that's more like Just knowing you can do the problem. All right, for instance, I noticed right here, I could have took this one step further. This is number 10. So we're going back to the one before that. Guys, if you notice, all three of these numbers on top has a common factor of 3. Does everybody understand that? 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 5 is 15, 3 times 9 is 27, and 3 times 27 is 81. So I actually can factor out a number. So what that will be is this. All right, over 27. Okay. But now, look at these two numbers. That's a fraction. That's 3 over 27 times. You could say all 3 times this divided by 27, or 3 over 27 times the parentheses. Both of the same thing. Can this reduce down? It can, right? It can reduce to 1 over 9. So what that will be, guys, is this. Uh, TQ. That would actually be the if you had that problem on the EOC, that would be the. I don't see them doing that. That would be the answer they would have, but you'd have to factor some stuff out. I don't really see them giving you something like that because that's a lot of stuff. All right. All right. So let me show you one more. It's multiplication, and you're gonna plug it in and evaluate. Okay. I will I will post these on Google Classroom. I'm gonna post a video as well. Okay. So now let's do a multiplication one. Let's do 19. All right. So we got f of t equals negative 4t plus 3, and g of t equals t squared minus 4t. Okay? And the rule says you got to find, let me put g there. You have to find f times g, and then once you find that, you're going to plug in a negative 1. Guys, if you plug in a number, guys, just remember, if you plug a number in, you will get a number as your answer. You won't have variables and stuff like that. You'll actually have a numeric answer. Okay. All right. So first of all, we're going to do f times g first. So since it's binomials, I'm going to put them in parentheses. Negative 4t plus 3 t squared minus 4t. Now, does anybody remember how to multiply binomials like this? You can do box method. Anybody remember box method? Foil method, but I just call it distributive method. Okay, so here's how you're going to do it. You're going to take the first term and distribute it to those two terms. Okay, so you're going to take the first term. It's good stuff, Rob. Yeah, it's good stuff, man. So if I multiply that, now guys, what do I do with exponents when I multiply? Does anybody remember? Let me write that rule out for you. If you have like bases, all right, if you have like bases, okay, and you multiply them, all you do is add their exponents, okay? So it's just you just take the exponents and add them. All right, so now, guys, this is known to be to the first power here, okay? What's 1 plus 2? 3. All right? Negative 4t times negative 4t is positive 16t squared, because t to the first times t to the first is t squared. Okay? All right, so you're done with that term. Okay? Now you're going to go to your back term and distribute those to both of them. Okay? So that's going to be 3t squared minus 12t. All right? Now, if you combine your like terms, that's going to be negative 4t cubed plus 19t squared minus 12t. Really not sure why I put those parentheses around there. Don't want to clean up. All right, now, so we've got it cleaned up. Now we need to plug the negative 1 in. We're going to let the calculator do that work for us. It's really easy to mess this up, so once you get to this part, guys, I'd let the calculator do the work for me. Okay? All right, so going to home screen. Your answer is 27. So, guys, like I said, if you plug in a number, you'll get a number back out as an answer. Okay? All right, guys. So I've talked a good while. So what I want to do, guys, for the last few minutes, for probably the next 30 minutes, is let you guys work on the rest of this sheet. Okay. If you have School of Tech, guys, I don't know if you heard our announcements this morning. There will be a bell that will dismiss you for School of Tech. Okay. And if any of you have School of Tech, I think don't you have it be? It'll be a bell that rings that lets you guys go. Guys, remember, formatives, they're due tonight. Excuse me, the summatives are due tonight for module 1. Don't forget that, okay? Um, and don't if you can get your IXLs, if you can get to IXL where to work, then those are due by Wednesday, okay? Yeah, with me.